Right. Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, wait a minute, and that word for anointed, yeah, Mashiach, the anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. That he'll have them in derision, them being the rulers and the kings of the earth. Because right now, I'm going to just play this video.
There's a new highway in Pakistan and a new rail terminal in Kazakhstan. A seaport in Sri Lanka recently opened, as well as this bridge in rural Laos. What's interesting is that they're all part of one country's project that spans 3 continents and touches over 60% of the world's population. If you connect the dots, it's not hard to see which country that is. This is China's Belt and Road Initiative, the most ambitious infrastructure project in modern history that's designed to reroute global trade. And it's how China plans to become the world's next superpower.
Kazakhstan.
It's 2013, and Chinese President Xi Jinping is giving a speech in Kazakhstan, where he mentions the ancient Silk Road, a network of trade routes that spread goods, ideas, and culture across Europe, the Middle East, and China as far back as 200 BC. He then says,
we should take an innovative approach and jointly build an economic belt along the Silk Road.
A month later, Xi is in Indonesia.
The two sides should work together to build up a new maritime road in the 21st century.
These 2 phrases were the first mentions of Xi's legacy project, the multi-trillion-dollar Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. They're also the 2 components of the plan. There's an overland economic belt of 6 corridors that serve as new routes to get goods in and out of China, like this railroad connecting China to London, and these gas pipelines from the Caspian Sea to China, and a high-speed train network in Southeast Asia. Then there's the Maritime Silk Road, a chain of seaports stretching from the South China Sea to Africa that also directs trade to and from China. The BRI also includes oil refineries, industrial parks, power plants, mines, and fiber optic networks, all designed to make it easier for the world to trade with China. So far, over 60 countries have reportedly signed agreements for these projects. And the list is growing because China promotes it as a win-win for everyone. Take, for example, the BRI's flagship project, Pakistan.
And before they go in, that they just showed you right there, the kings of the earth, the rulers who took counsel together. Current project, like they said, the Maritime Belt, which is it's the Silk Road. They've already did this before. It's the Silk Road 2.0. At one point, you had the British Empire who utilized China for trade, for spices, for gunpowder. That's where they got the gunpowder from. And then, Esau used gunpowder for his invention, the sword, the gun. And then they use that to take us down. So China, they played a part too. And they knew that they had us in mind when they gave the gunpowder to Esau. But like I said, man, China, you're starting to see a lot more China in the movies. Every other movie, they're going into China, whether it be Black Panther, Transformers, everything's going into China now because they want the movies to go over to China, and so they'll show a scene with China in there, a promotion of Chinese merchandise or something, because they wanted to screen over there. They wanted to make that international money. But China is not going to be the new superpower, because that's all you keep hearing. A lot of these schools are teaching these elementary schools teaching the youth how you speak Chinese, and they're predicting, well, look, China's going to be the new world superpower. It's not. Once America goes down and Esau goes down, according to the scriptures, the Israelites, we're going to be the new superpower of the world. Us and nobody else. Let's see what the scriptures say on that. Psalms 2 and 4. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Them the kings of the earth. All of that money, all of these projects, and like you said, shipping ports, fiber optic wire, mines, power plants, it doesn't matter. When the time comes, we will rule over them according to the scriptures. And this is only talking about us, the Israelites. There's no other nation that all the other nations got together, grouped up on, and plotted to bring them down. They never did that to the so-called Jews, the so-called Amalekites. They never did that. They've always done business with them. It's us that they've plotted on from day one. Verse 5, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. Zion is talking about Israel. I will declare the decree the Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. Right? So when we talk about this nation is going into slavery, that nation is going into slavery, out on the highways and byways, that's scriptural. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, a slave, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. The uttermost parts. It's talking about all that land over there for thy possession, for us to rule over. And that never happened. Even though at a certain point, we might have conquered or we might have defeated them in certain battles, but eventually we still went down. So full dominion was never given to us. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces with like a potter's vessel. Be wise now therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way. When his wrath is kindled, when his wrath is kindled but a little, blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Exactly. Then jumping to Daniel 7 and 18, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So whenever this occurs, the saints shall take the kingdom forever and ever. That's another way we know that we're the Israelites, because there's no nation that has ever done that, possessed the kingdom forever and ever, the kingdom of heaven, heaven meaning rulership. We know from this, rulership over the earth. So, you look at these different videos talking about trade, they're talking about war, talking about all this stuff. It is important, talking about these different countries, geography. It's important, but it's important because it gives you a scope on, you're supposed to watch, it gives you a scope on how soon war is coming and the different things they have going on. You're supposed to be a watchman, but ultimately the saints are going to rule all of this. So they can do a million of these little info videos that China probably paid for. The Israelites are going to rule. And those fucking those Moabites, we had some Moabites just come to the camp. And you had one Moabite, he said, damn, I knew it. We said, man, you going into slavery under us. The Lord was black. We started telling him the facts of the Bible. He said, damn, I knew it. He just kept saying that, damn, I knew. We kept reading scriptures. He's like, man, yeah, I've always felt that. Yeah, of course you have. Because your pride has deceived you. The so-called Edomites, they've deceived you.
In many countries in Central and South Asia, Pakistan has a stagnant economy and a corruption problem. It wasn't a popular place for foreign investment. That is until China came along. In 2001, China offered to build a brand new port in the small fishing town of Gwadar. By 2018, the port, as well as a highway and railway networks, became a $62 billion corridor within the BRI. It's where the economic belt meets the maritime Silk Road, and it seemed to benefit both countries. Pakistan saw its highest GDP growth in 8 years and forged a tight relationship with a major world power. China, on the other hand, secured a new alternative route for goods, especially oil and gas from the Middle East. Through projects like these, it also found a way to boost its economy. Chinese construction companies that had fewer opportunities within their own country saw a huge boost from BRI contracts. 7 out of the 10 biggest construction firms in the world are now Chinese.
Look at that, 7 out of 10 are Chinese. So, they're doing their little global takeover game. The nations, they've all dealt, like it says, they've all dealt treacherously. They got the little card game going on right now. China's winning. America is on to China. Whatever happens is gonna happen. But at the end of the day, we're gonna come in and we're gonna take all the money. We're gonna get all that as a possession.
What tips the balance in China's favor even more is a requirement that it be involved in building these projects. In Pakistan, for example, Chinese workers have directly built projects like this highway here, and a Chinese firm has worked with locals on a railway here in Serbia. China's involvement is one of its very few demands, and that's set these deals apart so far. See, typically, to get investment from the West, countries have to meet strict ethical standards. But China's offered billions of dollars, mostly in loans, with far fewer conditions. So it's no surprise the BRI has been a big hit with the less democratic countries in the region. China has signed agreements with authoritarian governments, military regimes, and some of the most corrupt countries in the world. It's even affiliated with Afghanistan, Ukraine, Yemen, and Iraq, all currently splintered by conflict. Because of China's willingness to loan money to unreliable countries, many experts have called the BRI a risky plan. Eventually, these countries will have to pay China back, but corruption and conflict make that payback unlikely. A recent report found that many of the countries indebted to China are very vulnerable, including 8 that are at high risk of being unable to pay. So why does China keep lending? Because there's more to the BRI than just economics. In Sri Lanka, China loaned about $1.5 billion for a new deepwater port. It was a key stop on the maritime Silk Road. By 2017, it was clear Sri Lanka couldn't pay back the loan, so instead they gave China control of the port as part of a 99-year lease. China also controls the strategic port in Pakistan, where it has a 40-year lease. It's pushing for a similar agreement in Myanmar, and it just opened an actual Chinese naval base in Djibouti. These are all signs of what's been called the string of pearls theory. It predicts that China is trying to establish a string of naval bases in the Indian Ocean that will allow it to station ships and guard shipping routes that move through the region. So while China's not getting its money back, it's still achieving some very important strategic goals. China's growing influence challenges the status of the U.S., which has been the world's lone superpower for the last several decades. But isolation is trending in the U.S., meaning that they are investing less and therefore losing influence around the world. The BRI is China's way of leveraging power to become a global leader. By building relationships and taking control of global trade, China's well on its way.
I said they got a 99-year lease. But shit, we don't have 99 years. But call law Yabashim Abashai, Bashir Makakadash, the blind said Pasha, that was a great millstone. Who rule well. Peace and salutations to you sincere brothers out there pushing and teaching across the 4 corners of the earth. Just a quick hit. You got to keep watching, keep paying attention, keep your spirit going. Things are moving a little behind the scenes now. Things are kind of died down. It's more of a Cold War, but Cold War is still eventful too. So that being said, keep watch. We are the watchmen. Shalom.